I'm resident of Colin for you too. Joel Saints. That is Gordon Dymowski, my buddy Gordon Dymowski. That's my buddy Alan Gallant. We're here to review Dark Shadows episode 331, chosen by Alan. So this episode here, it is written by Ron Sproat and directed by John Sedgwick. This is actually the first episode that Joan Bennett narrates, which was cool. Another episode shot, these episodes were shot out of sequence apparently. So yeah, recorded the previous episode to be recorded was 333. So guys,
they did this out of sequence stuff, sometimes based on the availability of certain people like actors and things like that, and sometimes just because they were trying to, trying to cram extra work in to get a certain amount of episodes ahead, various things like that. And they had the strike was coming up, by the way, and they probably knew that was imminent. It was a technician strike.
Yeah. What did you guys or Alan, you talked about this being the appearance of the bat here. What did you guys think of the bat attacking David?
I thought they did a really good job with it, considering it was live. It was flawed in a few ways. I mean, you could see the stick in one brief moment and so on. But I thought overall, I definitely thought that this bat was better than the one that happened in 1795. That one, you could kind of see the whole workings of it most of the way they had it lit, that it was casting shadows all over the place. But this one I thought was pretty good considering, and I don't remember if I was scared by it. I'm sure I was thrilled by it when I first saw it as a kid. Probably a bit scared by it because it was attacking a kid my age or close to my age. So it was that.
Yeah, and I think that it helped that they actually bought like one of those realistic looking bats from a joke shop, because it does have the right kind of floppiness to it.
He actually made that bat, but he probably modeled it after something. Yeah, I mean, anatomically, I think he was pretty good at that. Baird, he sculpted a lot of his own marionettes and so on. So yeah, I think they had an eye towards making it relatively realistic, if not like huge. Obviously it's very large, but yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I've always been surprised with the sound, because I always thought that maybe they got like a record of like mouse noises or something. Mm-hmm. It's actually a cork rubbed against a bottle.
It is. They had a Foley artist on call on the show. They had everything. I mean, it's pretty amazing considering in that little tiny studio.
David Hennessy does a great job selling for it too.
He does. He absolutely does, and he keeps his keeps his face in the light too. Which even when he's down in the corner, he's pro. He's an absolute pro.
Yeah, I like too how the window opens and then later it's locked. It's bolted again, so you're getting a little bit of movie magic, if you will, happen. But it helps build the insanity of David, because that's what Barnabas is trying to do, drive him crazy a bit here.
Yes, and it also sort of goes to the fact that Barnabas, this is another power that Barnabas has. He can open and close doors, and without actually doing it. So he's manipulating things. Apart from the fact that he can disappear or turn into a bat, or various other things, we're learning more and more things that he can do in his supernatural abilities.
Yeah, that's funny. A game that would mimic this in a sense would be Castlevania, Symphony of the Night. They would do this when you got to play as Alucard. You could open doors and close them and all that sort of stuff, which was really, really cool. What did you guys think here of Elizabeth and Roger debating whether, because Elizabeth, we all know Liz is not going to send David away.
No.
But Roger here, this isn't the same Roger in a sense that we saw in the beginning of the series. He's somewhat become a bit of a better dad, but he feels just that David is honestly going crazy here.
Yeah, and of course he's been also given this suggestion of sending him away by our friend Barnabas, who's manipulating him. But also, from the outside looking in, you consider David to be disturbed by these visions. That he's hallucinating things because he's just upset and disturbed. So yeah, it makes sense that they would have an argument or at least a discussion about this possibility, I think. And it also, pumps up the dramas. What's going to happen to the kid? What's going to happen to the kid?
Mhm. And also
Yeah.
keep in mind, David's also seeing Sarah at this point. So they're in like,
Yeah.
it's not like, okay, a bat you can explain as, okay, maybe David fell asleep, he had a dream, he woke up and it shocked him. But this has been going on for a while. And I
Yeah.
think I think it's hard too. And Dark Shadows, I think sometimes doesn't, I think this kind of trend levels off, but it's kind of the weird stuff is going on, and there's Elizabeth and Roger. There are a few there's I like that scene because it's a scene of them trying to make sense of it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not. And these are two people who would not necessarily think, "Oh, there's a vampire," or "Oh,
No,
there's a ghost."
right.
They're so, and I think that's really important because you need that to, otherwise it's just okay. It's a bat chasing a kid versus now that we know at this point, since we know he's seeing visions of Sarah, he's seeing this. It's like okay, they're trying to. It adds to the stakes because they're trying to make sense of it and they're doing what they think is best.
Yeah. They've also had a problem with him trespassing at the old house too,
Mhm.
because he's curious about things that Sarah has sort of half told him about staying away from the old house. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Barnabas has a concerned look on his face when Roger mentions that to him.
Mhm.
That he says that his David's friend Sarah told him to stay. There's danger in this at the house. She's not more specific about it, and and you see, I love the look on Fred's face. It's like he knows who Sarah is.
Yes, he does, but he's also, even previous to that, is surprised by Roger's admission that the kid had broken into the old house earlier in the day.
Yeah,
He didn't know that. So he's going to have a come to Jesus with Dr. Hoffman later about that he wasn't told. He wants to be told everything. This is Barnabas Collins' vampiric control freak. I mean, he's
Mhm.
totally, paranoid about everything. So he needs, he feels like he needs to know everything, and this is tantamount to a betrayal as far as he's concerned. That Hoffman didn't tell him right
Yeah.
away, when he rose from his coffin. So
Yeah.
extra tension.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Like, you're right. In the next episode, he grabs her by the throat, like,
Oh yeah,
"Hey,
he's mad.
you didn't tell me," because she's
He's,
trying to give him a treatment. She's like, come on, it's almost day, like you need this treatment," and he's like, you didn't tell me that David was here. Somebody was here. I was in danger." Uh, you're right. So come to Jesus.
Yeah.
Come to Barnabas. Your hand will come to Barnabas's throat.
Okay.
For sure. That's
Let's examine that Adam's apple
yes,
in my hand.
yes, absolutely. But yeah, you have a very great job with just the acting here too. You have David selling for the bat. You have Barnabas who is scaring the crap out of David and intimidating him. No Vicky Winters in this episode,
Yeah.
but that sort of adds to it though too, because with no Vicky Winters to calm him down here in this episode, it allows Barnabas to sort of work his magic in a sense.
It does, and it leaves Elizabeth to sort of play the role of mother, in the one scene where she finally just kind of breaks down and says, "Okay, I believe you. Okay, calm down."
Yeah, the one person who does legit believe David is seemingly the doctor here, Dr. Woodard.
Mm-hmm. As best played by Robert Geringer, at least in my opinion. I think he's the best of the Woodards. And he's unfortunately only going to be around for another 3 or 4 episodes before he's gone because there's going to be a tech strike and he's not going to cross the picket line. And in spite of the fact that Dan Curtis offers to pay everybody's fine because he's afraid the show's going to go under if they, do the strike thing because they don't know how long it's going to last, and they probably, I don't know, they probably have a week's worth of shows, in the hopper. So most everybody goes ahead and says, "Okay, we'll cross the picket lines." And even Grayson Hall doesn't. She's super pro-union, but she also I just got this job, that kind of thing. So the strike happens. Fortunately, it only lasts about 9 or 10 days. I think it was something like the 3rd of October till the 12th of October, 1967. So it wasn't very long, but it was long enough to cost Geringer's job, basically.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is, but it's also kind of par for the course. It's the Dan Curtis train. Get on or get off. At this point, the show is just starting to pick up steam, literally starting to pick up a large audience, and something like a tech strike is going to completely destroy that momentum.
And we didn't have, I don't think we had the kind of awareness about unions and workers' rights back then that we do now. Where years ago when we had the writer's strike, people could really kind of glom onto the idea of, writers are afraid they're going to be replaced by AI.
Sure.
At that point, with Dark Shadows, you cared about the story, maybe you cared about Jonathan Frid, and you didn't necessarily think, oh yeah, the tech guys should get paid as much. You just
that would have been a couple of small blurbs in the New York Times, and not you wouldn't hear about it otherwise. Mm-hmm. Absolutely right. There's no mass social media to sort of plug in. Oh, that's interesting. I'll learn more about that. It's kind of, we've all learned about it in retrospect. I didn't know anything about it as a kid. I had no idea that any of that stuff was going on.
Yeah. It's not the kind of thing that would get picked up in Tiger Beat magazine. No. Jonathan Frid explains why he crossed the picket line.
Right. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Here's a question for you guys. If Robert Geringer, if he does, continue to work, is the death of Dr. Woodard different?
It has more impact, I think, because the audience doesn't really get a chance to get to know the Dr. Woodard as portrayed by Peter Turgeon. They don't really have a lot of time to get to know him. To even if they were going to be attached to him, they wouldn't have enough time. But also, Turgeon's style is way less sort of fatherly. I mean, he's a different energy, and so I think it was. While it's portrayed as a a conflicted tragedy, I think the impact would have been much greater if it had been Geringer that had been his version that had been killed off, because we were kind of rooting for him in some ways at that point because he was being proactive for David.
Yeah, I think that's the thing too. Peter Turgeon, his Dr. Woodard comes across as more a bit antagonistic too.
Yeah, and I think they wanted him to be that way too because they were going to knock him off. Originally, they probably what the storyline when they first projected it, he probably wasn't going to get knocked off. He was going to help Hoffman kill Barnabas. But of course they changed that. So,
yeah.
So yeah, I think and it's no fault of Turgeon's that, I mean, hey, here's a job, take it, please. As an actor,
Yeah.
of course. It's certainly no fault of Turgeon's that Geringer got fired. But his impact was different, absolutely, because of the style that he was playing the character.
It does. On the plus side, besides us getting 1795 out the deal, we do get to see Julia Hoffman and Barnabas sort of verse each other a bit,
Yes, absolutely.
which is nice.
Yeah.
I do love the chess match between Barnabas and Julia that we get of the result of Dave Woodard's death.
Yes, and even prior to that, there's a lot of conflict between the two of them, even though they're sort of in cahoots, as we would say. There's still a lot of moral and emotional conflict between the two of them. So, and every once in a while, he decides to grab her by the throat too. So that's it's like, okay, hey, I'm trying to help you here, buddy.
So this episode's going to end with the appearance of Sarah. Why not? Talking to David. I told you to. I'm mad at you. I told you to stay away from that old house.
Absolutely. And this is David's reality now, even though everybody else is kind of doubting him and so on. This is his reality. This is firmly in his reality. This scene is, a comfort to him. Really.
Yeah, he even gets a new toy out of it.
Yes.
Yeah. He's got a lot of neat toys in that room, by the way. Major Matt Mason and a bunch of psychedelic posters. He's got some cool stuff in that room.
I wonder if he has one of those old school cap guns where you put it in the red strip and it sparks.
Oh, man, I had one of those. Probably did somewhere. Maybe hiding under his bed so that Aunt Elizabeth wouldn't find it.
Maybe one day NECA will get a chance to make a Barnabas Collins action figure. Maybe one day.
That would be cool. I would actually like to see them make some of the other characters as well. I think the primary interest is always going to be Barnabas Collins, and then Quentin secondarily, and then Angelique third.
My
or
idea
maybe switching Josette's in there somewhere. But I mean, everybody's thinking Barnabas first. There's just it's very difficult, I think, to get licensees to think of anything else first, or to anybody else plus Barnabas.
Okay, I'd like to address this to the Dan Curtis estate. Hear me out. Dark Shadows multiverse action figures. First is a run of the classic series. Barnabas, Quentin, the whole lot. Even throwing a Harry Johnson one. We don't care.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Then you do the 1992 series renewal.
Yes.
You'll probably have to haggle with Warner Brothers, but you could do as a third tier the movie version. And then what you do is you also then start doing the kind of larger maquettes. So like you do the Barnabas bust, the Quentin bust, with the Barnabas with the Inverness cape. Maybe do a Professor Stokes bust.
Oh, absolutely. Nobody deserves to be busted more than Professor Stokes.
So Dan Curtis estate, this is free ideas. Run with it. Go. If you want to, I know you might want to avoid McFarlane Toys because some of their designs are a little like, it's run by Todd McFarlane. Who
yes, it is, and some of their designs are really cool, and some of them are sort of out of proportion.
So there you go. Courtesy of Resident of Collinwood. We'll anything you send me, I'll split two ways between Jewel and Alan.
Awesome.
And
I'll take the Funko Pop concession.
And Funko Pop, I saw the interview with Penny Dreadful and Patrick. Yeah, let's do more of those.
Let's do more of those. Absolutely. Yeah. I thought that was a great conversation they had about merchandising in that particular conversation that they had. That That was a lot of fun. But yeah, I mean, to sort of give an overview of this episode from me as a kid watching it, I felt like I was really closely involved because a lot of stuff is happening to a child in the episode. And it's really, you're getting the viewpoint of the child. And as I mentioned on our last podcast, I think towards the tail end of it, when we were talking about doing this episode, there's nothing more nightmarish than not being believed when you think something's going on as a kid. You know, it's like, oh, no. You're just imagining things, you know, that kind of thing, when something really is happening. Nothing more helpless than that for a kid. So that's scary. And it's psychologically, that's scary in its own right. So I thought this was a powerful episode in terms of that child's eye view, as well as a lot of other, you know, kind of cool little twists of the storyline going on.
Yeah. Really. And two, what helps too is in the previous episode is when when Sarah shows David Barnabas sitting up out of the coffin.
Oh yeah.
And
Like
I said, it's been going on where Sarah's been showing David stuff little by little. And there was a big moment yesterday. And here too, you have another big moment of, oh, Barnabas is going to agitate the shit out of David. Why not?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's his ultimate plan, is to have him carted off to Wyncliffe or someplace. So, yeah.
Yeah. There's some really cool looking action figures that NECA has done horror wise that are just awesome. I know, I forget the other toy action figure that's done stuff too. I'll have to look them up. But
well, Majestic did the figures back in the aughts of Barnabas, Quentin, and then Barnabas 1795. So there was only 3 of them that they made, but they were full size 12-inch figures with what Penny Dreadful calls the inexplicable brown Inverness cape on Barnabas for some reason. She's right. Everybody that's done Barnabas in a figure like that with real clothing has done him completely in brown, which is interesting. Kind of against type, but yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you could make, if they ever do this, they can make a ton of cool looking versions. I mean, do you know how many versions there are of Michael Myers? NECA just did a Halloween H2O Michael Myers.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I've seen, and you know, you get variants that are black and white and color and all sorts of different things, you know, depending, of course, you have to have the backing for that. You have to have the kind of, you know, purchase interest, merchandising interest out there that's going to buy, you know, a significant number of units in order to be able to do variants and things like that. But I'd be satisfied with just, you know, just sort of more single versions. Even the Mego size ones would be a lot of fun to have more of those.
Yeah, it would definitely be cool. Is there anything you guys want to add about this episode before we go?
This was part of the era when I really got super interested in the show. Was in the fall of 67. I was watching it through the summer. I remember some stuff about that too, but the fall I became riveted because it did more and more involve this kid, you know, and it was like he was a little older than me, but basically the same age, you know, close enough to identify with it. So.
Yeah, and it's a time when the show is kind of it's really embracing the supernatural. You know, it's not just, it went from being that, let's throw a vampire at it just to see if we get better ratings, to, okay, yeah, there's something here, let's keep doing this.
Yeah, they made a world out of it instead of just a character. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Is there an episode you guys want to do tomorrow?
Let's do 233.
Okay.
Got it.
Okay. So tomorrow night, episode 233. Link to Gordon Dymowski's Amazon page and website is going to be in the description box. Link to Alan Gallant's YouTube channel. Colin's Port After Dark is going to be in the description box. And link to Patrick McCrae's Dark Shadows Daybook Unbound is going to be in the description box. That's easy enough for me to say without goofing up here. You guys have a great night.
Everybody at Lyndhurst, have a great Sunday tomorrow.
Yep. Have a great time.
Fun.